Ever been reading a headline on Twitter or on Facebook and gone, the heck is this? I can't believe this is true. Let me click that. Let's talk about one of the most pivotal jobs in social media that most people don't know exists. And that is called the Social Curator. It also goes by a few other names like Social Media Manager and Social Media Editor. But inside the field, generally it's just considered like a Social Curator or Social Content Media Manager, Social Content Media Editor. We're going to call it a curator for the purpose of this video. And that position is to get clicks. They don't make any content. They just take content and try to get the most clicks out of it possible. That's the job of a social curator. And this, I think, explains for a lot of the frustrations on the internet. So how do people get this job, you wonder? Well, mainly they've been working in digital media for a little while. They understand distributed platforms like Facebook and Instagram and IGTV and Twitter. And ideally, they should know how to optimize content for each of those platforms. What their function is in any digital media, social media team is they work to take the content that writers and producers are making at any media publisher, and then they schedule it out to go out at a certain time with a certain headline, with a certain description, with a certain thumbnail that should be ideally placed to get the maximum views or clicks. Right? And something that's really important in the industry is CTR, like the game of CTR, click-through rate. That's just what it stands for. And, bringing up like what would be a low CTR of like 1%, 2% up to like 7%, 8%, 9%. That's the metric upon which they gauge their ability to do their job. Now, you can push back against the social curator job and say, well, how much of it is really the social curator and how much of it is it the piece of content itself? Like, what is the ultimate, reason something goes viral or does well? Is it because the content is well, or is it because it was published and optimized, well? Each side will argue different versions, and each side will argue their various perspectives. But I think, from observing within the digital media space in New York, social curators are overvalued slightly. And that, at the end of the day, if a piece of content's good, you publish it at 3 a.m., it'll take off. If it's really that good, it doesn't matter when you publish stuff. The only time social curation really comes into play is when you have a high volume of content in a kind of zero-sum space, right? So there's only a certain amount of content a human can consume in a day or in a week. And when you have enough media companies creating content, they just can't consume enough. So then it becomes the social curator's job to compete against other media companies and make sure their video is viewed first in a ranking order or seen first or shared more than other media companies. Because ultimately, media space, like consumption time, is a zero-sum game. There's just a limited amount of time people are willing to spend consuming content. So when all the content is of roughly equal merit and value, everything kind of looks the same. And you'll notice that in most digital media, social media companies, stuff all looks the same. They kind of all just copy each other. Like how the Huffington Post video looks like it now. This video
looks like a Refined 29 video. Looks like a Complex video, which looks like a Vice video. Looks like a BuzzFeed video, which looks like a Vox video. Looks like an Attention video. Looks like a Mike video. Looks like a Bustle video.
They all look the same on Facebook. And you wouldn't know unless you looked at their little tag. Oh, that's by blah, 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 some media company I've never heard of. The reason why you saw that video over somebody else's video on often the exact same topic is the social curator. And a good social curator is able to get that media company's content to the widest possible audience or in front of other media companies' content. So when you publish a piece of content, it's that within the first 48 hours that you really want engagement, because that's how most platforms gauge engagement, is within the first 48 hours. So if if that content doesn't get a lot of traffic in the first 48 hours, it just goes right to the bottom of the list. But if they're able to get a bunch of traffic in the first 48 hours, and it keeps getting shared and shared and shared, it keeps getting shown and recommended. So it's figuring out how to get engagement with a piece of content in the first 48 hours. The kind of software the social curators use, things called, like Social Flow is super common, and Parsley. Social Flow is just a piece of software that's ridiculously expensive. It's like $100,000 a year. I kid you not. It's just like a publishing tool for scheduling, things out on various platforms, or telling you like what did well in the past. Hey, you should reschedule this Facebook video, right? Because this is what Facebook's classic for. For some reason on YouTube, people that grew up on YouTube, you make a video, you publish it once, and then you move on to the next video. And Facebook, people that publish on Facebook, for some reason, there's this culture of like, oh, we made this video, we published it. It's been a couple weeks. Why don't we republish it, reshare it again? And I don't know what happens on Facebook, but people get away with it on Facebook. And so tools like Social Flow and a Social Curator, their entire job is figuring out like, oh, this video did really well, or this article did really well 3 weeks ago. At this time, let's schedule it to go out again and see if we can juice it for more views. But I want to circle all the way back around to like, ultimately, how much is this contributing to the value of any media company? I've kind of just given you all the arguments of why a social curator is necessary, but a lot of it is becoming programmable. Like software is being built in-house by media companies that I won't name that have become quite good at generating A/B testing, like thumbnails, headlines, descriptions. So what writers and video producers nowadays in digital media are doing are putting like 3 different thumbnails into this software, 3 different pictures, 3 different descriptions, 3 different headlines, along with their article or their video into this software. And then this software will A/B test. It'll run 3 different versions, right? And it'll see what gets the most CTR, click-through rate, within the first 60 minutes. And then it'll swap like the headline and description and see if that gets a higher CTR. And it'll do this within a couple hours, determine what gets the best engagement, what gets the longest watch time, what gets the most read, and then it'll pick that one and send it out. And this software is becoming very advanced at doing this. And it can do this not with just A/B testing of like headlines, descriptions, images, but it can do this with A/B testing on times, A/B testing and with like click through to like links. So a lot of times social curators will work with marketing teams to be like, what we can do is integrate, Amazon affiliate links, and get these, see how often the Amazon affiliate links are clicked on this content and when's the best time that people will click this stuff. The software, the algorithms are getting very good at doing this. So if you see social media, editor, social media curator, social media manager jobs open up and you're wanting to get into digital media, I would say the half-life on this career is quickly shortening. I don't think it's going to be around in 5 years from now. I think it's mostly going to be replaced by software, and that ultimately software is getting highly advanced at curating. It can't create content the same way, and it can't research and shoot things the same way humans can, but it can use data and analytics, and you can build software that can be pretty much as good as humans. And I think you'll start to see this happening more and more and more. I was short the social curator job, but for right now, it plays a pivotal role in digital media. And they exist at every media company, and they interact in between the kind of like producers, writers, and SEO people. They are the curator. Everything goes through them. They are the portal through which content flows out of. And a lot of times in media companies, there's a little bit of politicking, because like if you're on a team and you're full of a bunch of writers, like you want to be friends with the social curator so that they boost your article at the time that you think's best, or that they put the thumbnail that you like, etc. Because oftentimes the social curators have the final call on, what the thumbnail is going to be, what time it's going to go out at, etc. Currently, they hold a lot of power, and I just don't see it continuing. I'll be honest with you guys. Despite what other people may say about social media content curation, I think computer software is coming for this job quick. Anyway, that's just a little background on a job that I don't think most people know exists in digital media, social media, and how pivotal of a role it plays at the moment. It's quite a powerful position, but it's one I think that existed in this short-term temporary framework between like legacy TV, cable, and like newspapers to digital media, where we needed humans to do this curation thing, where it's now being automized by algorithms. That's just the thought for this morning. Hope you guys have a good one. If you want to watch another video, click around. Thanks.